LSU, holy hype fest around this team. It's insane, right? Garrett Nussmeier is supposed to be the guy. I've been told that the wide receiver crew might be one of the best in the country. I don't know, man. I don't know. But I'm telling you, they got the hype around the world. They've got an offensive line that's supposed to be competitive. My question to you, defense and Brian Kelly, are they going to be able to put it together this year or not?
I don't trust Brian Kelly, man.
Never have. Never will.
I think that it's a very close competition as to which one I trust less. Do I trust Mario Cristobal less, or do I trust Brian Kelly less? I mean, I really don't know. I think that this roster, especially with the transfer portal class that he put together, has the ability to win a national championship. And I'm going to say that with full confidence. They have the ability to win the national championship. I don't have trust in Brian Kelly and his staff to put it together and be that successful this year. I don't even have him. I don't even have confidence enough in him to have a successful enough year to be in the top 5 of the SEC, if I'm being totally honest.
Right.
So that's where I'm at with Brian Kelly. How about you?
I mean, I think I feel the same way. I mean, there's a coaches poll that came out or whatnot of like the best coaches in the SEC, and I don't remember who put it out, but I mean, I seen like DeBoer, Kirby, obviously, but like you were seeing like Lane Kiffin and Brian Kelly above Josh Heupel at this point, and I'm just like, man, that doesn't even make sense to me. Like Josh Heupel literally beat Brian. Well, yeah, he beat Brian Kelly, beat DeBoer, he didn't beat Lane Kiffin, but definitely had a better season than Lane Kiffin. And I feel like with expectations, Lane Kiffin's kind of not lived up to the hype, whereas Josh Heupel in almost every single season has outperformed his expectations. So, like,
yeah, Josh Heupel has overachieved his expectations each and every year.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, I just don't understand why they get the maybe they're going BK maybe off the deal that he got, and then also his history with Notre Dame and getting to the Natty and whatnot. I mean, because technically he is one of the few coaches that have at least been to the national championship, but has he been in the national championship in the playoff era? Or was it just the BCS?
No, that was the BCS.
So, like, I mean, come on, man. I mean, I feel I'm getting Jimbo Fisher vibes from Brian Kelly, honestly. If I could compare it to somebody, that's it. And I think the only difference is Jimbo Fisher actually won a Natty. Has Brian Kelly done that?
No, he has not.
Point taken. So no, I don't believe in him. But I went first last time. You want to take the helm here?
Yeah. So LSU's wide receiver group, they're good this year. You got Xavier Thomas. He's a senior this year. You've got a transfer from Kentucky, Barryon Brown. He's also a senior this year.
That's where he went. He went to LSU.
Yeah. So you still got move. Yeah, you still got on the defensive side of the ball, you got Harold Perkins Jr., man. Very talented.
How is he still in the league? That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you haven't seen much from him, especially last year. So what are you gonna get exactly?
I guess he is only a junior, true junior, ain't he? Because he popped off his freshman year.
Yeah, redshirt junior.
Oh, he is a redshirt junior? Okay, right on.
Yeah, I think he was hurt one year. So, I mean, you've got talent on this squad. You've got a very good transfer portal class this year. We'll see exactly how I feel about them. Which, by the way, did you realize that Michael Van Buren Jr., that he is now at LSU as a backup quarterback?
Who's that?
Michael Van Buren Jr. He's the guy that took over for Blake Shapen whenever he got hurt last year.
No, I did not realize he transferred to LSU, but, you know.
Hey, I didn't either until just now.
Whatever. But they start out with a banger on 8:30 against Clemson, at Clemson. I'm not saying a season's made or break, or a break or made or whatnot in week one, but I kind of feel like for Brian Kelly, I think LSU and period has lost 5 straight opening games of their seasons. I feel like this one's pretty important for LSU.
Yeah, so I'll give LSU credit for one thing. They love having that spotlight on the opening weekend of college football, and they play those marquee matchups, but they can't win them, and they're not going to win it this year. Clemson, I'm going ahead and telling you, Clemson's going to make the college football playoffs this year. They're going to win the ACC, and they might have no issues doing that. So I've got.
I mean, Kate Klubnik's like a 7th year. I'm joking. I remember playing him under Joe Milton, but yeah, I mean, they've got everything around.
Year.
What's that?
He was a freshman that year whenever Joe.
Yeah,
Milton
I know, but it just feels like he's been in the league for a while. But yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think Clemson's going to have a fairly easy path to the playoff.
Yeah.
It's the
So
ACC for God's sake.
Yeah, Louisiana Tech in week 2, they're going to win that one. I'm going to stick with my guns on this one right here. I said that they would lose to Florida at home. They're going to lose to Florida at home in week 3, and man, the the feeling about Brian Kelly at this point, it's not going to feel good.
Oh,
You start
starting
off the
out one
season
and two.
1-2. Play against Southeast Louisiana, and if it's anything like softball, yeah, I think Southeast Louisiana wins, but this is football. This isn't softball. LSU gets a win there. Go 2-2 to start the season at Ole Miss on September the 27th, week before the bye week here. I think at this point it's going to depend on how Garrett Nussmeier is playing. If he's playing lights out like his hype looks like it is, I think that LSU goes into Vaught Hemingway here and they get a win. But I just don't believe in Garrett Nussmeier right now. He's had plenty of chances. He's had to sit behind some people. He just hadn't shown that. I think LSU drops a game to Ole Miss here. And they start off the season 2-3. And it's really not looking good after the bye week, as I've got South Carolina coming in and taking a win from LSU. This is
Oh my
already
goodness, this is
2
falling off the
home games.
rails. Oh my
This
god.
is 2 home games that I have LSU losing within the first half of the season. They get the boat rightened a little bit with a win against Vanderbilt on the road, but I think that game's going to be a little bit more uncomfortable than they would like. I do have them righting the ship a little bit at this point. I think that they get an upset win over Texas A&M at home. I think that they really take a look in the mirror at this point, probably call a players only meeting, something like that. I think they figure something out before that Texas A&M game, especially going into a bye week, and you look what you got coming after the bye week in Alabama. I do think that game is going to be very close, but I think that Alabama does end up winning that game coming off of the bye week. End of the season looks very manageable for LSU, and I think they take advantage of that. I think you get a win against Arkansas on November the 15th. I think that you beat Western Kentucky as well. And then I think you go on the road to Oklahoma, and I think you get a win against Oklahoma to finish off the season. So this is a very bad year as far as LSU standards go. 7-5. This is not at all what they're looking for. Brian Kelly takes another step back, and at this point, you got to think: do we get rid of Brian Kelly? I mean, he was given a big contract to come in here and win championships, and all he's doing is taking a step back each and every year that he steps foot onto the sidelines here. It's a big buyout, but I think at this point, you've almost got to go ahead and pay that out and get somebody in there that can actually take care of a roster and win games. So 7-5 is where I have LSU. The ceiling for this team, I'm not going to say 12-0 because I don't know if I'm going to have any team as the ceiling for them at 12-0. Any team in the SEC that we do, just because it's so hard to do that now. I think Clemson is still a guaranteed loss. I'm high on Clemson this year, and sitting here today, the only loss that I have on the schedule would be to South Carolina at the end of the year. But even I'm not sure about that. I think you beat Florida. I think you beat Ole Miss. South Carolina game is tough, but I think that you can beat them, especially because it's at home. I'm still going to give a guaranteed loss right now to Alabama, although I think that they can win that game. So I've got the ceiling for LSU at 10-2. As far as the floor for LSU, I'm not going to go too far. I think that you can lose that game to Texas A&M, but I still think that you win every other game on the schedule. So my floor is at 6-6 for LSU. The ceiling is at 10-2. I've got 7-5 though as the record for LSU this year.
Right on. I could see it. I think that's a bad year. I don't even think there's discussions about Brian. I think there is with all the hype in the offseason going into this year, if they pulled something like that, I think he's absolutely gone. I don't even, and I think he would even know that. Like I don't know. I'm gonna be kind of quick here, as we are a minute 15 into this show. But look, guys, I I think LSU's got too much hype.
Yep.
Brian Kelly, I feel like we just know who he is at this point. I don't care what kind of dogs he's got on the offense. If he can't fix his defense, it literally doesn't matter. Now he's made some changes, changed some defensive coordinators and whatnot, but like it's going to have to be dramatic. This team can literally score 50 points a year or a game for a year or a season and still lose 4 or 5 games because that's how bad their defense is. So, um, I'm going to give LSU a little bit more decency than you, but not a lot, honestly, because I think they win the first game of the year.
Ooh.
I think they do. I think Clemson's going to be a good team. But Dabo ain't that good of a coach anymore either. Hang on.
You know what? That's where I think I'm going to disagree with you. I
You
think
can
that
disagree all you freaking want. No, I'm
listen,
joking.
I'm going to make this brief because we're not talking about Clemson here, but I think that Dabo has finally started to accept the transfer portal a little bit. He's still not happy about it, but he started to accept it. And I think that with him doing that, Clemson's going to be back up there in the national power each and every year. I'm not saying they're going to win natties, but they're going to be back up there each and every year.
It's fine. I stick with my guns. I think LSU wins the first game of the year. And then everybody's like, "Whoa, what's going on with Clemson? What's going on with Dabo?" I could see that happening. I think they win against Louisiana Tech, and then they get to Florida, and I think they beat Florida. I think I said that in the Florida prediction too. So I think that helps a lot that they're at home against Florida. So I think LSU starts out a crisp 4-0 as they travel on the road to Ole Miss, and that is where I do feel like they slip up for the first time this year at Ole Miss. I think it's going to be a tough environment. And Ole Miss and LSU is always just like cinema of a football game. I mean, you got to tune into that game. It's just fireworks left and right.
It's going to be a high-scoring football game.
Oh, yeah, always is. South Carolina, though, USC juniors, I like to put it. I do think they get a win over South Carolina. I think South Carolina is going to be a good team. But I wonder if they call a little bit of lightning in a bottle, South Carolina is. I don't feel like, even if they got some dudes, which South Carolina does, I kind of the same thing with LSU, which is kind of weird, but I don't trust their coaching. But either way, I digress. Vanderbilt, at Vanderbilt, I don't know what to really expect out of Vanderbilt this year. I kind of think they were kind of a one-trick pony last year, and we'll see if they get the ride the wave again this year, but I'm going to give that to LSU. And then A&M, they get to host A&M. I think that's key, but I think this year alone, Brian Kelly just doesn't have what it's going to take to make it to the playoff. I think Brian Kelly's just shown us that. At Alabama, I think they have the talent to win at Alabama, and I think they might even have the better quarterback when they play Alabama. But at Alabama, pretty freaking hard to win unless you're Joe Burrow. So I'm going to put that as a loss. I think they do beat Arkansas, and of course they beat Western Kentucky. But here's where I'm going to throw a big curveball. I don't think they beat Oklahoma on the road that late in the season. You've seen it happen to Alabama late last year. Oklahoma is going to be a team to be reckoned with this year too. So I've got LSU on my prediction going 8-4, which is honestly, if you're looking at it from a broad scope, that's like a typical Brian Kelly season, right? 8-4, maybe win your bowl game, go 9-4. But overall, I think their ceiling is 10-2. Maybe they do kind of sneak by Oklahoma. Maybe they do pick up a win over an Ole Miss, but I do think Alabama and A&M are hard locks for a loss. But I think their floor now. Hear me out. This is where it gets kind of wild, man. I got their ceiling at 10-2, and I try not to do this, but let's just say they lose most of the 50-50 games. That they lose to Oklahoma, they lose to Alabama. I think they still beat Arkansas. I'm kind of working backwards here, but I say they lose to South Carolina as well. I think they lose to Florida and they lose to Clemson. With that being said, dude, their floor, I think that makes them 5-7. Does that sound right?
Yeah, 5-7.
So 5-7 floor, 10-2. And I try not to have a big window like that, but man, I could see it. So I don't think they're going to go 5-7, but like I said, if they're not really, Clemson's good enough to beat them. Florida is kind of a wild card, but they could. And then South Carolina. So give me 5-7 floor, 10-2 ceiling, and I'm going 8-4 here.